Let me begin by asking what kind of society are we becoming that when helping someone in need is treated as a crime? So, right now, I think across Europe and beyond, we are witnessing a deeply alarming trend, which is act of care or basic humanities are being punished, or the people who offer a food or a shelter or simply stand in solidarity with those on the move are being harassed or persecuted or even imprisoned. So this is not about targeting or smugglers or traffickers. I believe this is about the ordinary people or activists or volunteers. They are facing a criminal charges for a simple act of kindness they are showing. So these people are prosecuted for the act of humanity, but some are endures with a legal limbo, and some others face some constant surveillance and intimidations, or even prolonged detention before the trial. I think in 2024 alone, at least 142 people across Europe have been investigated, and some are prosecuted for the helping migrants. So, this growing criminalization is not a coincidence. I think this is what we call the criminalization of a solidarity. So, what does this criminalization, as you mentioned in the question, is actually look like in a practice? Let's start with one of the key legal tools behind it in the EU, which is about the EU Facilitation Directive. This law was originally meant to stop the smugglers who profit from moving others across the borders illegally. But here's the problem. The language which is used in the Facilitation Directive is dangerously vague, and it doesn't clearly separate the criminal smuggling from a humanitarian help. So this means that ordinary people like volunteers or activists, even a family members can be treated as a criminals for the thing like they're offering a shelter or simply they are passing along an information. So I think now the EU is revising this directive, but we might think that they mean they are fixing it. But unfortunately, the thing is, these kind of proposed reforms they are don't solve the core problem. So, in fact, there is the making the thing worse by expanding the list of the thing what can be punished, or it's giving even more power to criminalize this kind of solidarity, humanitarian activities. So another broader political framework, which also translates about the EU Artificial Intelligence Act and the EU Pact on Migration and Asylum, which was adopted in 2024. I think this pact shapes how Europe manage the migration control and everything. But unfortunately, I think that this it does so with some strong emphasis on control and security and surveillance and human rights as well. So regarding to the question, Josa, you ask that how people are pushing back or protecting each other or combating this kind of narratives. I think the good news is the civil society is pushing back and resisting from the inside. Some of the organizations, for example, is the PICM or Solidar, some others are demanding some legal reforms, specifically above mentioned EU Facilitation Directive. They are making some call to make a clear, binding exemptions to protect all forms of humanitarian aids. And they are making some suggestion to remove some vague legal clauses, which is criminalizing the act of solidarity, and they push back that human rights impact assessment should be done before if there is a policy is passed in the EU. So I think regardless that one, the activists who are working in the migration field also they face this kind of wise of serious risk as well.
Thank you very much, Askiya, for that question. It is true that this criminalization of solidarity is something that we've seen more and more. Without going further, if you've heard about the Paragon scandal lately, this has been a scandal in Italy that have shown that the government has targeted with spyware and investigated as if they were terrorists, people working in an NGO that was rescuing people who were dying and risking their lives in the Mediterranean, which also builds up on the same narrative that's created by the facilitators directive and others. So this is also a moment to remind ourselves that nowadays we could say that even being humane or humanity is an act of uh, of revolution, so to say. So it's standing against this far right narrative that's taking over all across the world, and that's why I think that convenings like this, in which we can meet with other people who are working also against all odds and against this monster that we're seeing all across Europe, is good also to build our strength, because as CSOs, sometimes in certain countries, we are already starting to be the last bastion of defense or of pushback towards this. So I think that's also important to take from today's conversation.